Manchester United finished 15th last season. 18 losses, 11 wins, a complete disaster. The attack was lifeless and the club in chaos. But now Amorim has rebuilt, and the front line he's assembled for 26 isn't just better, it's terrifying. This new attack might just bring fear back to the Premier League. But who are the players, and can Manchester United get the top 4 with this attack? Well, let's talk about that. Last season was a complete failure for Manchester United. Finishing 15th in the league wasn't just disappointing, it was embarrassing. Out of 38 games, they lost over 18 and won just 11. That's relegation form. There was no consistency, no identity, and most importantly, no structure. You could tell from the first half of the season that something wasn't right. The problems started with the manager. Erik ten Hag was under pressure early on, and eventually the club decided to sack him. But instead of getting an interim manager to steady the ship till the end of the season, which would have made sense, the club rushed and brought in Rúben Amorim right in the middle of the chaos. Now, Amorim is a good coach. That's not the issue. The issue was timing. He was trying to implement a demanding system in a squad that was already low on confidence and lacking chemistry. It was always going to be difficult, but his arrival exposed one huge weakness that couldn't be ignored anymore. The attack was simply not good enough. Under Amorim, the lack of attacking quality became clearer. Players we thought would step up didn't. The front line lacked movement, end product, and urgency. It was predictable, flat, and nowhere near the level needed to compete in the Premier League. And that's why, after finishing 15th, Amorim made it his mission this summer to completely rebuild the attack from scratch, and he is starting on the left wing. Last season, the left wing was supposed to be one of United's strongest areas. On paper, you had Marcus Rashford and Alejandro Garnacho, two players with pace, skill, and experience. But what happened was the complete opposite. Let's start with Rashford. His form dropped drastically. Week after week, he looked disconnected from the team and things got worse off the pitch. His relationship with Amorim broke down fast. It reached a point where Amorim reportedly said he'd rather pick a third-choice goalkeeper than Rashford. That statement alone made it clear there was no way back. Rashford was moved on quickly. First to Aston Villa, and not long after, he went out on loan to Barcelona. That was the end of a long and frustrating chapter. Then there's Garnacho. Now, this was a surprise. He had moments where he looked like one of the few bright sparks during the Ten Hag era. But under Amorim, it just didn't work. There were internal issues, reportedly disagreements around discipline and attitude. Eventually, Garnacho found himself out of the matchday squad entirely. Another talented player, but one who couldn't fit into the structure Amorim was trying to build. That's why the signing of Matheus Cunha was such a big move. Amorim didn't just want a winger, he wanted someone who could execute his system with precision. Someone who could press high, carry the ball, make dangerous runs, and score goals consistently. And Cunha fits that profile perfectly. Cunha isn't just quick, he's smart. He knows when to cut inside, when to stretch the pitch, and how to position himself between the lines. Off the ball, he's relentless. Defenders don't get a second to breathe. On the ball, he's confident, direct, and knows how to beat a man. But more importantly, he brings something United have been missing on the left, end product. Last season, Cunha scored 15 goals in the league. That's more than any United player managed. But his value goes beyond just numbers. He creates space for others, drags defenders out of position, and links up well in quick attacking moves, which is exactly what Amorim wants from his wide players. And in a team that lacked urgency and sharpness in the final third last season, Cunha is a much-needed upgrade. He's not just a replacement for Rashford or Garnacho, he's a different type of player entirely. More efficient, more disciplined, and more adaptable. And with him on the left, United finally has someone who can stretch defenses and finish chances consistently. But the attack isn't built on one player. For this to work, there needs to be a structure behind him. That brings us to a player who could quietly become one of the most important pieces this season, Mason Mount. But before we talk about that, please hit the subscribe button. When Manchester United signed Mason Mount, the expectation was that he'd be a consistent, high-energy midfielder who could add creativity, control, and goals from deep. But in his first full season at the club, things never took off. And it wasn't even about form, it was about availability. Mount spent most of the season injured, constantly in and out of the squad, and when he did play, he looked off the pace. But this summer has been different. Fully fit, fully focused, and finally looking like the player we saw at Chelsea. The one who could dictate games, press aggressively, and link midfield to attack. And for Amorim's system, Mount is exactly the kind of profile that makes everything click. First, Mount brings verticality. He's always looking to move the ball forward, either with a line-breaking pass or a run through the channels. He doesn't just pass for the sake of it. He passes with the intention to create overloads, to drag defenders, and to shift the tempo. United lacked that last season. So many attacks were slow, side to side, and predictable. Mount changes that. Second, he works hard without the ball. Amorim demands high pressing, and Mount is one of the best in the squad at that. He doesn't just jog around, he presses with structure. He knows how to cut passing lanes, when to close down, and when to sit back. That kind of discipline is rare, especially in attacking midfielders. Third, his chemistry with players around him has improved. In pre-season, you could already see him linking well with Cunha on the left and Bruno through the middle. His off-the-ball movement opens up space for others. And in a team that's trying to create quick, unpredictable attacking transitions, that movement is essential. In short, Mount isn't a new signing, but he might be one of the most important. If he stays fit, he'll be at the heart of everything United do going forward, the link between the midfield engine and the attacking firepower. And speaking of attacking firepower, let's move to the right wing, where things got interesting last season with the rise of Amad Diallo. You see, last season, Amad Diallo finally got his chance. After spending seasons on loan and being overlooked by the previous management, he was given a proper run under Amorim. And honestly, he didn't waste a second of it. His performances were sharp, mature, and consistent. He didn't just look promising, he looked ready. What stood out most about Amad was his intelligence on the ball. He wasn't just out there to dribble or show flair. Everything he did had a purpose. His close control in tight spaces, his ability to cut inside at the right time, and the way he combined with Bruno and Dalot in the half spaces, it all added a new layer to United's attack. Statistically, 8 goals and 6 assists in 26 league games might not jump off the page, but context matters. This was a player adjusting to a new system, playing regular top-flight football for the first time and still managing to contribute directly to 14 goals. His understanding of Amorim's tactics, especially in possession transitions and pressing, made him one of the most reliable players on the pitch. But then came the injury, and once Amad was out, the team struggled to replicate the same threat on the right. The balance was gone, and it became clear that relying on one player wasn't enough. So this summer, Amorim brought in Bryan Mbeumo, and that move could be one of the most important signings of the rebuild. Mbeumo has been consistently impressive in the Premier League, and last season was his best yet. Playing for Brentford, a mid-table side with far less attacking quality, he still managed to score 20 goals and provide 7 assists in 38 games. That's an elite level of production, especially considering the context. But this wasn't a one-off season. The year before, he had 9 goals and 6 assists in just 25 matches. That kind of output, year after year, shows that he's not just a form player, he's reliable. What Mbeumo adds to United isn't just goals and assists. he adds efficiency. He doesn't waste time on the ball, he makes the right decisions in the final third, and he tracks back when needed. He's a forward that understands his role in and out of possession, and that's exactly what Amorim values. Tactically, Mbeumo fits perfectly. He can play as a traditional right winger, an inverted forward, or even tuck inside as a second striker. His movement off the shoulder of defenders, his ability to find space in the box, and his calmness in front of goal, those are all things United lacked last season, especially when Amad was unavailable. Now, with Amad and Mbeumo both available, United finally have depth and flexibility on the right. Whether it's Amad's creativity and control, or Mbeumo's directness and finishing, or Amad as a wing-back, Amorim has options, and that's something United haven't had in a long time. But a good wing attack means nothing without someone to finish off the chances. But before we do that, let's talk about one more important person: Bruno Fernandes. You see, when everything around Manchester United was falling apart last season, inconsistent lineups, tactical confusion, a broken dressing room, and an attack that couldn't finish chances, Bruno Fernandes never disappeared. While others went missing, he kept showing up. Game after game, he was the one trying to drag the team forward. He finished the season with 8 goals and 10 assists, and that's in a side that had one of the worst attacking records in the league. No rhythm, no confidence, no real chemistry in the front line. And still, Bruno found a way to contribute. It wasn't just about the numbers either. Bruno remained the only player who consistently looked like he had a clear idea of what he was trying to do on the pitch. Whether it was switching play, playing through balls into tight spaces, or pushing the tempo when things slowed down, he stayed active and involved. He was the one trying to take responsibility even when the team around him lacked structure. That's been Bruno since day one. High risk, high reward football. Sometimes he gives the ball away, sure, but that's because he's constantly trying to make something happen. United didn't have players making good runs or opening up space, but Bruno still created chances. He still pressed. He still led. He's not just a creative midfielder, he's a leader, even when it's ugly. The other thing people overlook is how much he plays. Bruno is rarely injured. He's available almost every week, and he always wants to be involved. That kind of consistency in availability is rare, and it matters when you're trying to build a team with clear direction. Now, imagine Bruno in a functional team, surrounded by actual finishers, wide players who make intelligent runs, and midfielders like Mount who understand space and movement. For the first time in years, there's a plan behind him. Amorim's system gives Bruno the structure he needs to focus on what he does best, controlling the tempo and unlocking defenses. And most importantly, now he has players who can finish the chances he creates. Because last season, that was a massive problem. He was delivering the passes, but the end product was missing. Too many wasted chances, too many heavy touches in the final third. But with the new attacking pieces in place, Cunha, Mbeumo, Amad and Mount, Bruno might finally have teammates who think on the same wavelength. His role this season will be even more important. He's going to be the one who links it all together. From transition play to the final ball, he'll be the one pulling the strings. And if everything clicks, we could be talking about his most productive season yet. Not just in numbers, but in overall impact. But none of this works without a reliable striker. And last season, that's where United looked completely uncertain. 2 different profiles, no clear focal point, and no one who truly stepped up when it mattered. That's why Amorim turned needs. Benjamin Šeško, if there was one position that perfectly summed up how dysfunctional United's attack was last season, it was the striker role. There was no consistency and no one who owned that position. 2 very different profiles were rotated, and neither one fully convinced. Let's start with Rasmus Højlund. He began the season well. His movement looked sharp, his pressing was effective, and he was getting into good positions. At first, it felt like he might finally be settling into the role, But as the season progressed, his confidence dropped. He stopped taking risks, his touches became heavy, and he looked more and more isolated with every match. You could see the frustration build. He wasn't receiving much service, but even when chances came, he wasn't clinical enough. By mid-season, his influence had almost completely faded. Then there was Joshua Zirkzee, who Amorim started using more often as a kind of 9.5. He wasn't playing like a traditional number 9, more like a deeper lying forward who tried to link play and create space. Technically, he was better than Højlund, and his hold-up play was decent. But the issue with Zirkzee was clear. He just didn't score enough goals. His shots lacked power. His decision-making in front of goal was hesitant, and he didn't have that natural striker's instinct. He could support, but he wasn't going to lead the line in a team trying to challenge again. Amorim knew he needed a new focal point. Someone with presence, with the ability to lead the line, finish chances, and give the attack a clear identity. So this summer, United want to sign Benjamin Šeško. Šeško is not just another young striker. He's the kind of forward that fits exactly what Amorim's system requires. He's tall, 6'5", but he's not limited to being just a target man. His movement is sharp, he's fast over long distances, and he understands how to time his runs in behind. At just 23, he already plays like someone who knows how to find space in a backline. What makes Šeško different is that he combines physical presence with real technical ability. He's comfortable receiving the ball with his back to goal, he can turn under pressure, and he's efficient with his touches in the box. Unlike Højlund, who can sometimes be erratic in tight areas, Šeško plays with more composure. And unlike Zirkzee, he's much more direct and goal-focused. He's also aerially dominant, and that gives United a new threat. With Bruno and Mount capable of delivering crosses and Cunha and Mbeumo stretching defenses wide, Šeško becomes a real target in the box. He's not just someone who can hold up play or press, he's someone who can finish moves. His numbers back it up. He scored 13 goals and had 5 assists last season, which is really impressive for a striker at his age. The arrival of Šeško can change everything. It gives the attack structure, it gives the midfield a focal point, and it gives the team confidence that when a chance is created, there's someone reliable to finish it. And now, with Šeško up front, Cunha and Mbeumo on the wings, Amad and Højlund pushing for starts, Bruno pulling strings, and Mount linking it all, this attack looks complete. Now that we've gone through the system, the new signings, and the key players, let's step back and ask the real question. What does this team look like now? Well, they look like a team with good structure. For the first time in a while, Manchester United doesn't look like a bunch of individuals thrown onto a pitch. Amorim has brought a clear shape, one that can adapt mid-game, one that plays to the strengths of the players. The build-up is organized, the press has triggers, and the team doesn't collapse the second they lose confidence. But what do you think? Can they go on to win the league this season? Well, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out our videos on the screen. Thank you.